Imagine delivering what's supposed to be a major reset speech to your party, a carefully choreographed attempt to draw a line under months of catastrophic polling and convince everyone that yes, really, truly, things are going to get better from here. And then just hours later, one of your own party leaders, someone who's supposed to be on your team, publicly admits that voters are angry, frustrated, and impatient with your performance, that your government isn't popular, and that is running for office in defiance of your unpopularity rather than denial of it. That's not just damaging. That's politically devastating. That's one of your most senior colleagues essentially saying your brand is so toxic he needs to distance himself from you to have any chance of winning. Welcome to Sir Keir Starmer's absolutely brutal Monday, where his carefully planned reset was torpedoed within hours by Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar delivering some of the most searingly honest criticism any politician has levelled at their own party's Prime Minister. This isn't friendly fire. This is a full broadside. Let's unpack this absolute disaster. Quick favour. If you're loving what we're doing here at British Mirror, hit that subscribe button and smash the bell icon. Over 94% of you haven't subscribed yet. It's completely free, takes about 2 seconds, and honestly means a world to us. Cheers if you've already done it. Right, back to the show. Sir Keir Starmer has been blasted by a Labour grandee just hours after Prime Minister delivered his reset address to party members. Just hours. Not days, not weeks, but hours after Sir Keir presumably thought he'd steadied the ship and convinced everyone that Labour's fortunes were about to turn around. The timing couldn't be more brutal. It's the political equivalent of announcing your marriage is stronger than ever only to have your spouse immediately file for divorce. Scottish Labour leader Anas Sarwar took aim at Sir Keir earlier today, admitting voters have been left disappointed following the Prime Minister's first 18 months in power. Wait, let's pause on that. First 18 months. Labour has been in government for less than a year. Sir Keir became Prime Minister in July 2024. It's now early January 2026. That's not quite 18 months. So either this is reporting error or Sarwar is so eager to criticize has rounded up the timeline to make it sound even worse. Either way, the substance is clear. Voters are disappointed. That's not opposition spin. That's Labour's own Scottish leader admitting Sir Keir has failed to meet expectations. I know that across Scotland people are angry, frustrated, and impatient with the pace of change at Westminster, Mr. Sarwar said. Angry, frustrated, and impatient. Those aren't mild criticisms. Those are visceral emotions that translate directly into votes against Labour. When people are angry, they don't just disapprove. They actively want to punish you at the ballot box. When they are frustrated, they've given up hope you'll deliver. When they're impatient, they are not willing to give you more time. That's a toxic cocktail of negative sentiment, and Sarwar is openly acknowledging it exists across Scotland. Not among a few critics, but broadly, widely, pervasively. I do believe that no Labour government at Westminster, however well-intentioned, principled, or capable, could have undone the damage of 2 decades in just 2 years. That's actually quite a clever formulation. Sarwar is simultaneously defending Labour whilst admitting failure. He's saying the problems are so deep, inherited from Conservatives and SNP combined, that no government could fix them quickly. However well-intentioned, principled, or capable. That's giving Sir Keir credit for trying whilst implicitly acknowledging the trying hasn't produced results. It's a political equivalent of saying you're a lovely person but utterly incompetent at your job. The UK Labour government has many meaningful achievements which they need to shout louder about. Many meaningful achievements. That's standard party loyalty language. Every politician says their side has achievements that aren't being properly communicated. It's the go-to excuse when policies aren't resonating. We're doing great things, but the message isn't getting through. Except the problem isn't communication. The problem is that voters don't feel better off, don't see improvements in their lives, don't believe Labour is delivering meaningful change. You can shout about achievements all you want. If people aren't experiencing those achievements in their daily lives, the shouting doesn't matter. But it is also fair to say that they haven't got everything right. That's magnificent understatement. They haven't got everything right is diplomatic speak, for they've made serious mistakes that have damaged their political standing. What mistakes specifically? Sarwar doesn't say, but we can infer winter fuel payment cuts of pensioners, inheritance tax on farmers, sluggish economic growth, poor communication, broken manifesto promises about not raising certain taxes. Those aren't minor missteps. Those are substantive policy failures that have alienated core Labour constituencies. And there are many challenges they still must confront. I get it. I don't just see it. I feel it across Scotland. I feel it. That's significant language. Sarwar isn't just intellectually understanding that people are unhappy. He is emotionally experiencing their discontent, presumably through conversations with voters, feedback from activists, abuse on social media, hostile public meetings. When a politician says they feel voter anger, they're usually experiencing it very directly and personally. It's leaving marks. I know the Prime Minister and the UK Labour government are not popular with the public right now. Not popular. That's extraordinary candor from someone in the same party. Politicians almost never publicly admit their own side is unpopular unless they are trying to distance themselves for electoral advantage. And that's exactly what Sarwar is doing, because his next line makes it crystal clear. So I am not running to be Scotland's First Minister in denial of that truth. I am running to be Scotland's First Minister in defiance of it. Let's pause that carefully because it's absolutely devastating for Sir Keir. In denial versus in defiance. Sarwar is saying he acknowledges Labour's UK government is unpopular. He accepts that reality rather than denying it, and is running for First Minister despite that unpopularity by essentially promising to be different from Westminster Labour. He's not running on Sir Keir's record. He's running away from it. He's telling Scottish voters you might hate what Labour's doing in Westminster, but I'm different. I'll be better. Vote for me anyway. That's not party unity. That's political self-preservation at the expense of the Prime Minister. From Sir Keir's perspective, this must be absolutely infuriating. He just delivered a reset speech meant to give Labour a fresh start, a new narrative, renewed momentum. And within hours, one of his most senior colleagues has publicly confirmed everything critics say. Labour is unpopular, voters are angry, the government has made mistakes, and politicians are literally running campaigns in defiance of association with the Prime Minister. That's not just unhelpful. That's actively sabotaging whatever message Sir Keir was trying to establish. My prediction is Keir Starmer goes, absolutely. I thought he would be gone by the end of 2025. And I have to confess, I did put a small £10 bet on that, which hasn't worked. I've now officially lost 10 quid. The fact that he actually bet money on Starmer being gone by end of 2025 shows this isn't just punditry. Preston was confident enough to wager on it. He was wrong on timing, but maintains his right on the ultimate outcome. I think most people feel that he will be gone. Most people don't think it's certain. I think it's almost certain he has to go. The football manager analogy Preston uses is perfect and devastating. Labour cannot improve. It's like a football manager when the club is at the bottom of the league. 3/4 of the season have gone, and your only chance now is to change leadership. You swap managers. This captures the logic of leadership change when recovery under current management seems impossible. You're not necessarily sacking the manager because they are bad. You're sacking them because the situation is beyond salvaging under their leadership, and only change offers hope. When Dawn Neeson asks who would replace Starmer, Preston immediately names Andy Burnham as the popular choice at the moment. Burnham is currently mayor of Greater Manchester and doesn't have a parliamentary seat, but Preston dismisses that as a minor obstacle. He doesn't have a seat, but that's easily doable. I think Clive Lewis came forward and offered his seat, which he really shouldn't have done, that undermined Keir Starmer in early December. I think there would be plenty of people that would step forward and do that knowing they'd be compensated down the line by the Labour leader. This is where the prediction gets really interesting because it outlines a specific mechanism. Burnham becomes Labour leader. Some Labour MP, probably in a safe seat, agrees to stand down and trigger by-election. Burnham stands in that by-election, wins easily because of the safe Labour seat, enters Parliament, and becomes Prime Minister. The MP who stood aside gets compensated with a peerage or some other position. It's been done before in British politics and could easily be done again if Labour decides Burnham is their salvation. Preston's analysis of Reform UK and Nigel Farage is also insightful. He notes Reform is polling around 28% on average, and even if they drop to 25%, they should be very comfortable because that's still historically high for a party of their type. But he identifies a psychological danger. The problem is, it's at momentum, isn't it? If it were to carry on, and when you fall, like with football, when you have a bad run, People start fighting, infighting, causing trouble behind the scenes, and that's a very difficult job for a manager to handle. Preston raises a question about Fair Eye's leadership, and the question is, if they dip down to 22% and there's infighting, is Nigel Farage the right man to manage that? This parallels his Starmer critique. It's not enough to be good when things are going well. Leadership is about handling adversity, managing declining momentum, preventing infighting. Can Farage do that? Preston seems uncertain. The broader context for all of this is Labour's catastrophic polling. They are being hammered across almost every metric. Approval ratings are terrible. Economic confidence is low. Trust in government is cratering. The contrast between pre-election promises and post-election reality is stark. Voters feel deceived, disappointed, and angry. That's the environment in which Starmer is trying to project optimism and hope, and it's simply not working because he doesn't have the personal charisma or political capital to overcome it. Preston's sympathy for Starmer actually makes his critique more powerful. He is not gleefully predicting the PM's demise out of partisan hatred. He genuinely feels sorry for Starmer's impossible situation, while still concluding that he's doomed. That's more devastating than pure partisan attack because it suggests even sympathetic observers see no path forward for Starmer.